I'm here with CDT to talk about a new PDM product we have. Okay, thank you. And again, thanks everyone for joining. I think all of you know much better than I do, because you live the challenges every day, that designing a product means you have to manage all kinds of information. And in this age where we have extremely compressed development cycles, we have highly distributed teams, it's really difficult to manage all that diverse information across all of the teams in that short schedule. And so we're going to talk about how we can help you with a PDM solution that's designed to work with both Creo, or Pro Engineer, as many of you know it, and other popular CAD applications like SolidWorks, Inventor, and AutoCAD. So we know today that many of you use shared drives to share information, use FTP sites to collaborate with partners, and you've experienced some of these challenges where you're overwriting data from others. It's not clear what the change history was for a particular set of changes. It's hard to go back to a previous version, or it's hard to know how to get back to it. We know that it's difficult when you're making copies of complex assemblies in folders. It's easy to lose track of which dependencies are actually getting pulled in, and you have to carefully manage your search paths. And this is only compounded when you want to release data, and you want to make sure that what you release, if you're taking a folder-based approach to release it, that you're getting the right dependencies. We know that it's difficult to manage security, especially when you're talking about a distributed environment where you need to provide access to partners, to suppliers, as well as different roles within your organization. And we know that it's difficult to share data. It's hard for those in manufacturing, purchasing, or suppliers to get access to the data early on so that they can participate in the design decisions, that they can improve the manufacturability or address some early lead time issues or be aware of early lead time issues. So what we're announcing is a new product that's really designed for smaller customers that you can quickly get up and running to help you manage some of these challenges. And it's called Windchill PDM Essentials. It's tailored for small design teams in the sense that it's very easy to buy in terms of how it's packaged and priced and licensed, and it's very easy and quick to deploy. But at the same time, it's built on a best-in-class platform, the Windchill PDM Platform. So you have powerful capabilities, but we've really focused those capabilities around what you need to manage your CAD data. Everything that you need is in a single package. And when I say everything, I mean everything but the OS. So we provide the server components, we provide the database server that's bundled, it's priced in, we provide all of the publishing, the search capabilities. It's all built in to this one package that you can install very quickly, and you can start to get value through a simple configuration wizard and get into production extremely, extremely quickly. And the idea is that we pre-configure this in a way that we know is most valuable for those smaller customers who are focused around CAD data management. So it's what you need put in a simple package that's attractively licensed, priced, and bundled. You can manage CAD files as well as I mentioned before, integrations with applications like SolidWorks, Inventor, AutoCAD. Those of you who work with multiple OEM partners that dictate the particular format that you need to provide design data in, this will allow you to use a tight integration with any number of these CAD applications that are possible. Others who have maybe acquired a company that's using a different platform, or perhaps a different platform is used in manufacturing than is used in the design engineering group, you can take advantage of this single environment with those multiple platforms. You can manage your Office documents with a built-in Microsoft Office integration. And you can quickly search to ensure that you maximize your part and information reuse and minimize the time that everyone in the company spends looking for information. We enforce the release and version control. So you can carefully control which roles have what kind of visibility at various points along the maturity path. And this is predefined with a predefined life cycle, predefined roles, so that you don't have to spend a lot of time setting this up and wondering if it's working in the proper way. The system will automatically generate CAD formats, such as PDF, IGES, DXF, or STL, on release or on check-in, so that you can ensure that the formats that are needed by manufacturing, by purchasing, are always available. And we facilitate collaboration with your suppliers. We provide you with tools to allow these partners to visualize, markup, without needing native access to the CAD data or the CAD applications. And finally, we'll manage your CAD bonds. You can export those to your MRP or ERP systems in a simple way. It's easy to buy in the sense that we have a single type of seat license. It's a floating license. So those of you who are familiar with the Creo or ProEngineer licensing will be familiar with this, so that you can share potentially a seat among one or two designers. You can share that a seat possibly with as many as 2 or 3 people in purchasing or manufacturing. So you really are paying for value that you use. You're not paying for seats that are sitting out there. And furthermore, you can invite everybody, provide everyone access, and realize the value across all the teams. Pay only for those seats that you're actually concurrently consuming. It's available now, and I'll follow with a demonstration. So what you see is Creo Parametric. This is a Creo Parametric 2.0, and it includes the integration with the Windchill platform out of the box. So there's nothing that you have to do other than connect to the server with Creo Parametric. You don't have to install anything. You don't have to load anything. It's pre-configured to work with Windchill PDM Essentials. So what you see here, you can navigate and interact with the server system very much like you would with a file system. So for example, in the folder tree here on the left, you see a PDM Essentials cabinet, and I can open that and I can see the content. So I have a library, I have products, I have something called Workspaces. So again, it's very natural for those who are used to a folder-based organization, and I can look into products, and I see that I have some products defined here, and I can drill into those. What I'm going to do, and let me also show you here, there's some libraries. There's a predefined parts catalog. So this is intended to manage your standard parts. And if I select on this, it will open the parts library in this embedded browser within Creo. So what you see here are some top-level folders and I can expand these both in the Creo folder tree as well as within the browser. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to expand this, and you'll see here that there's some standard parts, standard documents. Let's just drill into this. I've got some electrical parts, mechanical parts. I have my templates for Creo that you can manage. So your start parts, your standard drawing formats. You can set these all up on the server so that you're sure that everybody is using the right start parts, the right standard parts, and anytime you modify them, you have a complete history of that modification. Unlike, it's much more difficult in a file system to ensure that everything is being used in the same way by everyone. So let's take a look at just an example here. So I've got a set of bearings, fasteners, and so you can open this up. And I've just saved a few things here. So there's some cap screws that I've loaded here as standard parts. These are standard family table items, and you can there's a navigator view here so that you can see what something looks like, where it's used, and so on with this simple type of approach. Okay, so let's create something new. Let's imagine that you're doing a new project or you're building a new product. How would you actually go through this process? So let's start by creating a new product. So if I go to my product's here listed. You'll see these are the products that are already defined. Let's define a new one. And one of the nice things is there's predefined templates. So it comes out of the box with a predefined template that has predefined roles associated with life cycles that will ensure what role has what access at various points in the life cycle. For example, there's a viewer role, and I'll talk about it in more detail later, but the viewers can't see anything until something has been released. So you shield them from all the noise of the work in progress. And this is something, again, where you don't have to school somebody on where to look and what not to look, and you don't have to set up elaborate access control rules in a network share. And you don't have to move things from one folder to another as things mature. It happens all automatically as part of a process. Everything's in one place, and you can provide that access both within your team, to the extended teams in manufacturing, purchasing, and your suppliers and partners, and give them just the appropriate access at the various stages in the life cycle. So I'm just going to create a new product. I'm going to call it blower. I have a blower assembly. So what you see here is a new product, and if you look here, there's a set of folders, and you can create templates. This particular template doesn't have predefined folders, but if you always have a certain layout, let's say you have folders that you always use for your projects or products, for specifications, for customer requirements, for drawings, for CAD models, for analysis. You can define those folders as part of the template, or you can define them as you go. So this is something. It's very simple. You can set up the folders here. I'll just set something up for models. Whoops, excuse me. And so I have a new folder there. Let's now go to and create something which we call a workspace. So this is something that will give you, as a CAD designer, really complete control over what you want to submit and when you want to submit it for for larger consumption, if you will. So it's like a sandbox that you can create as many as you want. You can create a different sandbox, if you will, for each product or project, or if you have some special change that you want to do and you want to isolate that from something else, from everything else, you can easily do that. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go to my home page, and you see this Workspaces here. Let's just create a new workspace. And I'm going to call this the blower workspace. And each designer can create their own workspace if they want to. They could choose to use a single workspace for a bunch of general things. So I actually have a general workspace. So if somebody were to come to me and quickly want some change to be made, I might just use this general workspace across a number of different products or projects. But typically, if I'm working on something for a long period of time, I want some control over organize that information so I can quickly go back to it. It's especially useful if you're working on a number of projects in parallel. And we know that many of you have to wear a lot of different hats. You're jumping around with maybe different projects for different customers or different products, and you want to come back to that space. You want to control it so that you can separate the work that you do on one product versus another, or one project versus another. So I'll create this new workspace. And again, this is happening on the server, but I can do all of this in the context of my CAD application. So I'm not jumping around from, if you will, one environment to another. So now you see I've created this new workspace, and what I'm going to do is, let's just do something simple. I'm going to create a new part, and you can choose when you go through the installation wizard, the configuration wizard, you can choose to have names automatically generated, or you can use your own manually input names. So if I don't do anything here, it's going to use an auto-generated name. I'm going to just override this. I'll put in a manually generated name. And then I have a predefined start part that this is going to use that's on the server. Okay, so what you see here is I've got this new part, and I want to show you what we've done here. Excuse me, let me just go ahead and create this create this part. I'll just do something simple. And we'll create a simple sleeve here. Okay, so we created a simple part, and I'm going to just change the color. And all I have to do is check this in. So I'm going to check this in, and it's saving it, and it's checking it in to the server. So just to see, let's imagine now I'm going to just so that imagine if somebody else were looking on the outside. I'm going to go to a server view, okay? So one of the things that I can do is I can search. So let's just search for, and there I see there's the sleeve. And notice that it's already got a thumbnail that's been published for it. And more than that, it's actually a 3D viewable that's created. So what you see here is a 3D viewable for this sleeve. So that was all generated automatically on check-in. Furthermore, the parameters that you've identified to exchange between the CAD application, your CAD files, and the server, whatever you've defined in your start part, is all set up here. So you can exchange attributes transparently. You don't have to do any setup. Okay, so now let's go back to Creo. And let me open up an existing, I've got an assembly here just to make it a little more interesting. I have a blower assembly here. It's not extremely complex, but it's got a little bit of interest. It's got a little bit of depth, but something here that we can now check this in. Let me just check in this entire model, and I'll just select this auto check-in. And so what's happening is it's uploading this model to the server into that workspace, and it's checking it in. And I should mention here too that I'm actually connecting over a wide area network. So I'm not on a LAN at PTC. I'm actually doing this with a server that's remote. This server is in our, I'm actually doing this working in Minnesota, and the server is in Needham. So this is something where you can actually work over effectively over the WAN. Now, if you're working with very, very large assemblies, the first time that you open an assembly from the server, it's got to download all of the content. Depending on your connection speed, that can take a while. But once you have it, it's locally cached. And what that means is it's almost like having it as if all the parts were right there on your hard drive, even better than the network drive. So you get very good performance while you're working on something once you've downloaded the content from the server. Okay, so let's have a look at this on the server. So if we go here again to our folder tree, we can navigate, and you can do this either way. I could navigate on the server or from Creo. So I'm just going to do it from Creo here. So you see there's our blower. And what's happening right now is it actually generated all of the viewables automatically. So again, if I look here, I can open this in our viewer application. It created all those different viewables. If I'm and one of the benefits here again, if I'm somebody in manufacturing, I can access this information without having Creo or SolidWorks or Inventor. I have this 3D viewable that's available to me. So let me give you an example of the kind of thing that you could do to engage a broader part of your team, or even somebody who might be an engineer that's not actually actively working in Creo. They might know how to use Creo, but they're really not spending all day in Creo. So let's go here. I'm gonna do a search for a fan. and it was actually, I'll do it this way because I didn't get the right fan. That was the one I wanted. Let me just verify. That's the one I intended. So what I can do here is what I'm going to do is, as a, let's say, a manager or somebody in manufacturing, I got the wrong one. Not that it really matters, but I intended to open this one. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a markup. So somebody told me that the fan blades under stress were impinging on the housing where this fan was located. So what I can do is I can go to the markup and I can say, let me do a markup, and let's make a note here. Oops, sorry, I'm going to do this one. Wanted a note with a leader. So I can create this markup. I can also do things like measure. So if I wanted to, suppose I was somebody in manufacturing, or I was an engineer who was doing analysis work, I could measure something. And so here's an example where I'm setting this identifying the diameter dimension. I might be taking note of that. That might be important to me, or just to check it to see what the value was. This is something, again, without having a drawing, without having access to the CAD tool. The various roles in manufacturing, the people in engineering and doing analysis work, etc., can do this. You can do things like create sections and view things in sections. So I could have, if I wanted to, done a more elaborate section. If I couldn't see what I needed access to, you can create sections here and include that in your markup. And then I can save this. Markup. So let's do that. Let's save this. We refer to this generically as an annotation set. So I'll call this a thin height reduction. So what I'm going to do now is I'm saving this to the server, and let's close this application. And the application is called Creo View that I was using. That comes bundled with the system. It's included in the price. You don't have to pay anything extra. It's automatically installed and downloaded as a browser plugin the first time that you access it. One of these viewables. See, there's nothing that you have to do. Now let's go to this. Let's go to the details for this particular item here. And there's a content tab where I can look at what we call these representations or annotations. And so here you see I've got a markup here, and I can open that up. It will launch it in the product view viewer, and you will see it just as I left it. So now you can, as somebody in manufacturing, make this markup, and this is something that you can communicate to the designers to make the design change. So now let's take that next step. Let's go into Creo, and let's find that. So we can either browse for it or we can search for that that particular item. So let's just do a search. That's one of the nice things, that you can very quickly find things and know that you're getting the latest version, the only version that somebody should be working against, or your role should be working against. Okay, so there I see several items in the result set, and there's the fan. And so let me open that in Creo. So there you see the fan, and I was to reduce the height. So let's go into this. Let's edit this. Edit this definition here. So it's 0.375 units. Now it's telling me I'm trying to make a change to it, but it's not checked out. And the default action is to check it out, and I'll say, great, let's check it out. That way it's reserving it for me. There's no possibility that anybody else could overwrite it because I have it checked out. And let's reduce the height of this. And let's check in the chat. Now, what I can do, just to show you, I can just save this change. Okay, so it's gonna save it to a workspace. Okay, and I can look at that workspace just so you can see what that's like. So if I go here to my Windchill, I'm just going to hide some of this stuff. So you see, there's the parts catalog, and here's all my workspaces. My active workspace is the blower workspace. And so what you're seeing here is everything that's in my workspace. And there's the rotor fan. It tells me that, if you look here, that I've modified it locally. Okay, so I've saved it locally, but I haven't checked it into the server. And I could just choose to check that in. If I had a number of different things I was working on, I could choose to just, let's suppose, for example, you're working on something, and one of your colleagues needs visibility to something. So you don't want to check everything in, but you just want to check that particular thing in. So you can specifically check in a single item or a set of items. So it gives you a lot of control over what you want to make more public. And this is independent of the life cycle. So nobody, including other CAD authors, would have visibility to what's in your workspace. And again, it's not a security issue, it's a confusion issue. You don't want to put something out there that they might inadvertently be using a version that you're really not ready with, in more mature assemblies, for example. So this gives you a lot of control. So let's go ahead now and check this in. I'm going to cancel this because I just realized, is anybody going to believe me if I actually made that change? So let's do something that's a little bit more dramatic. So I'm just gonna hide this here for a moment. Let's just change the color on this so that we know that this is something that was clearly changed. So we'll go here and make it red, and then I'll save this change. Saving it to my workspace, and once again, let's go to my workspace here. And so there you see it. And now let's check it in. And I can put it okay, so I'll put in a change comment and let's finish that. Okay, so now I should be able to, as a regular user, let's go to that. I'm going to just go to show you a different way. You can look at updates, and there you see the rotor fan. I could have searched for it. This is my home page, so I can look at something that I recently changed. If I was another user, I would search for it, whether it's by part number or by attribute. You can find it any number of different ways. So let's go to this home page for this fan part. Look at the details here. So you see that you know, here's the image. It's clearly changed. It was a kind of a blue color. Now it's red. It tells me it's version -.3, and it's checked in. So now let's do something else. First I want to show you, I'm logged in as a role called a CAD author. And let's just take a look at the roles in this team. So if we look at this particular product, it's called a Sawzall. And here you can see, if we look at a view of the the Sawzall assembly, this is a portion of that assembly, so you can see it there. But what I'm going to log in as another role. Okay, so let me just do this. I'll create a new session, and I have a viewer role. Bear with me here. Let me get a link to the. So I'm going to log in as a different role. I was logged in as an author. Let me log in as a viewer, and I'm just using these generic names. This would be a person, of course, but that's the name of the role. Uh-oh. There we go. Okay, so this particular viewer, if you look here, what do I have visibility to? So I have visibility to this blower. So let me go there. The product I have, but I don't actually see anything. And the reason is because as a viewer, I have only visibility to release data. We just created a bunch of data as an author, but I don't have visibility to it as a viewer role until it's released. Okay, so let's and let me just show you what this product is like. So if we look at this blower product, it's got a team. So you can create you can add roles, you can add members to an existing role. So you can see here there's a role called CAD author, and it's populated with a CAD author group. So whoever's a member of this group across all of the products will have those privileges. And similarly, if we look at that, let me just expand this here. And here's the viewer role. So there's a viewer role and there's a viewer group. And the not only do you have access to less information as somebody who's a consumer only, but there's many less actions that are visible to you. So you get a highly simplified environment. And this is where you can actually use the system to allow somebody who's a partner or somebody in purchasing or manufacturing, who isn't working with the system every day. They can have a very simplified experience, but yet get access to the information that they need. Okay, so now let's go back to let's go back to this new product. So we created this new blower product, and what I'm going to do is release it. Show you the process by which we could release this to provide that visibility. So what I can do here is I can simply right-click to see the actions, and I'm going to do a new what's called promotion request. And this is you can do something very simple. You can simply set the state to a release state, but this allows you a little more control, a little more formality if you want it. So what I'm going to do in this case is I'm going to show you how you can identify what you want to release. So by default, what it's doing here is it's saying, well, if you want to release that blower assembly, you need to release all the unreleased children, all the children that are in an in-work state. That's the default. Now, you don't have to do that, but that's typically the best practice, and that's what's supported here by default. And then I pick which state I want to release to. Now, we predefined all these states, and they're associated with access control rules for those roles that I just mentioned in the team. So if you're a viewer, you don't have access, any kind of access, not even view access until it's released. Okay? So I can set it to released, and then we can apply this here. And the next step is I can say, well, who needs to review this? Who needs to approve it? And I can choose whether, and you can control whether you want this or not. Some people want a very formal approval process where, the approvers would actually get a notification via email that they would have to approve it. It's all a matter of record here. I'm going to do something which is really just it's more of a notification. So we're going to notify the approvers that this is being released. And you can choose however formal you want it to be. The most informal is to simply do a set state. You just set the state, the life cycle state for the items. But what will happen now is a notification will go out to whoever I select here as the reviewers, and they'll be aware that this particular assembly and components have been released. So let's complete that. Okay, and now you can see here that this assembly is released and the constituent parts were released as well. So let's go into that other role as a viewer, and now let's see what we can see. So if you notice here it says viewer, and let's find that that was the blower assembly. And let's see here. So okay, so I should have privileges to view it here, and it's been approved, should be released. Okay. So I'm not quite sure what happened here. Let me just take a different case. I'm going to search for. No, I have to do this as a author. So let me just go into another. Okay, so I've got a rotor assembly. Let's just take this one here. Okay, so if you look at the state here, it's under review. And let's let's promote this one. Okay. And we'll just do this simple approval. Let's just verify that that was released. Now let's do something else. Let's look at the structure. Okay, so this is showing me the whole structure, and I can drill into each and every one. So it says that one's released. If I click on this one's released, and I could choose to create a custom view where I would see the release state in the context of the structure as well. But this is, I just want to verify here that looks like all of these are released. So we should be in good shape. You can also find out where something is being used. So this bearing here, if I select and I check the uses, it will show me, you know, which assemblies it's been used in, and I can export this. So if you wanted to export this to an MRP or ERP system, you can select the export action, and it's going to export that to an Excel document. Let's just see here. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is let me look at this from this viewer vantage point. So if we go into that this product here, so the rotor assembly was approved, and let's just verify that it should be in its release state. So I must have set the access control improperly here, so I'm still not seeing it. It should be visible to me now. If I go, for example, as a author, let me just try one other role here. So that's a viewer role. Let me just try a contributor role. So we have another role. The viewer role by default is a role that can only view and print. There's another role called a contributor who can create documents, who can do markups, basically participates a little more deeply in the product development. Let's log in as that role. And let's view the products. So if we go to this, so I have the same similar problem here. it's approved, but I don't see it. So I'm going to have to check my access control. I should be able to see those when I promote them. Okay, so let me move on to another step. And let's see, I'm going to go to let's go to the little more interesting model here. So I have a bicycle model, and let's go to, sorry, let me go to a different role here. So I have this bicycle model, and I want to show you this more interesting structure view and how we would work with that BOM. So what I can do here is open the top level assembly, and it's called bike here. Let me just verify that. So again, with this visualization, I can see all the uses here, and you can actually click through to see what it's using, the various components. So there's a crank set, there's a front derailleur, and you can see those in this little navigator, what we call a thumbnail navigator. Now so let me go here, and I'll go to the structure view of this. So I look at the structure, I can expand this to all levels. And I can include, one of the options here when you display this is I can say merge uses, so that if I've got, let's say, 100, or like in the case of a rim where you've got a bunch of bolts, the same thing. You don't want to show all the bolts. You just show one and then the count. And then what I can do is export this to Excel. And let's see. I missed where it went. It should have, I think I have it set. Let's try PDF. So let's see here. Oh, forgive me. I think I have my browser setting incorrectly, so that it's not opening it up. It should be opening it up instead of saving it. Looks like it's generating it and saving it. I'll have to check that. But what you can do is export that to Excel, and then you can use that to load into your CAD application. The other thing that you can do is look at, as a consumer, you can look at various formats. So if we look here at a, let's look at this rotor fan again. So if I want, for example, a PDF of a drawing, can have that generated. I can generate it on demand, or get it, if it's automatically generated, I can get it through the automatic generation. So let's suppose if I wanted a PDF of this that I didn't have generated, I could just go to Creo. Let's open that rotor fan. There it is. And what you can do is, when you do a save as, when you're connected to the server, what you can do is specify what format you want, and it will automatically associate that with the model. So I'll say save a copy, and I'll pick the format I want. You know, I can pick any one of these formats that Creo is able to generate. I'll pick a PDF format. So let's see here. So there's a PDF format. And it's telling me it's not checked out. So I'm going to actually associate this with this particular version. So it's tied to the particular version, and there's no possibility of getting the wrong PDF drawing when you go to this particular item. So at that point, let me just check in the changes. Oops. I'll do a search as a user. So if we look at this rotor fan here, and we look at the content, and let's see here, so this, make sure I checked it in. Okay. And then we'll check it in. Okay. Let me just Let me just show you an example. So we have a drawing that I saved as PDF. And so here you see the PDF of the drawing. And there it is. So you can have this automatically generated, these formats, or you can manually generate it, you know, as somebody in manufacturing or purchasing, or you know, somebody who needs that particular format, but it wasn't generated by the designer. So this is something else where you're really empowering those in purchasing and manufacturing to actually create the formats that they need when they need them, as well as automatically generating those on release. So I think we're at the end of the session here. I'm not sure if this is an open forum, if there's any questions, but if I can entertain any questions, I'd be happy to do so now.